Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar as we kick off Food Waste Prevention Week 2024. Food Waste Prevention Week is happening from April 1st to April 7th, and it's a national campaign that brings together educators, nonprofit partners, businesses, and decision makers, plus many more, to learn about food waste and engage in activities and engage in the wider community of folks that are interested and making different action items happen related to food waste prevention and food waste reduction all across the US, Canada, and Mexico. As part of the K through 12 Student Engagement Committee, we're super lucky to kick it off by a series of webinar. And the very first one that we're so excited to share with you all is bringing food waste into the English language arts classroom. Today, we are joined by a veteran school teacher in Chicago Public Schools who will be leading this talk. Lisa Jeff actively engages in food waste conversations with her students across her English language arts classroom and is going to be sharing today the work that she's been doing, different activities and lesson plans to get you involved in bringing food waste into the classroom, plus much more. So now I will pass it over to Lisa and please welcome her, but we're very excited. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, as you stated, I am a veteran Chicago public school teacher, and we're going to be talking about food waste in the English language arts classroom. So, just a little bit background, besides the fact that I am a veteran Chicago public school teacher for over 30 years, I spent most of my time teaching in a self-contained classroom, which means I taught all subjects. I was moved to upper grade, so now I teach English language arts, which is reading and writing for the upper grade IB-MYP program, the International Baccalaureate Middle Years program. I still love teaching about science and taking care of this precious planet of ours, but I have found a way now to tie in food waste prevention into my English language arts class. I'm also a member of the Green Ministry at my church, so I'm very involved with taking care of our planet. And right now I am wearing my Hunger Walk shirt. So each year my church participates in the Hunger Walk. We try to help those who are less fortunate. So we don't want to waste food, and we want to make sure those who need food get food. Okay. So love food, hate waste. So don't waste good food. That's what we're talking about. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what I've shared with my students. So here's something that I do in my classroom. We collect the leftover breakfast in the morning that is not eaten. So I started doing this years ago because my class had lunch or brunch, as we called it, at 10:35. So by 1:30, my students were hungry. So we would collect the stuff that was not eaten and could be salvaged, and we would share that later on in the day so the kids could be able to continue to learning without constantly complaining about being hungry. And this also taught about food waste and stop the creation of more greenhouse gases. So here's me in my little t-shirt about, let's talk about trash. Baby, let's talk about you and me recycling. That's one of the things we do. We try to save the food. We even recycle the plastic bag. So due to COVID, we had to slow down on what we could actually recycle or save on our little share table. So only things that were not perishable and could not have not been open. So our little breakfast bars, our oranges and things like that, even the little sporks that they put in the bag every day, whether you use them or not. We even save the paper bags if they have no food residue on it to attract bugs, and I take that to recycling. So as she mentioned, Food Waste Prevention Week is April 1st through April 7th this year. So here, let's get started. Are you an English language arts teacher? Did you think food waste prevention could only be taught in the science class? Preventing food waste is not just a science lesson. It can be taught in any subject at any grade level. You can begin by having students read nonfiction informational texts about food waste. The students can also read about landfills, greenhouse gases, and other problems caused by food waste. Next, you can have students use their imagination and create different writing assignments about food waste. Resources and ideas will be shared during this food waste prevention webinar. So, as you know, we do take standardized testing, and reading literature as well as informational nonfiction texts are tested. So reading about food waste and the different problems that are caused are a great way to get the students involved in it, and it is a reading lesson. So as I mentioned, I'm part of the IB-MYP program. And one of the things that we do is we have 3 questions that we have to talk about, or we use that to spark most of our learning. So before we start a lesson, we have our factual questions, which is just remembering the facts and the topics. Conceptual questions, which analyzes the big idea, and debatable questions, which evaluates perspectives and develops theories. So before we started our food waste, our questions. Factual question was, what is food waste? Our conceptual question, why is food waste harmful for the earth? Our debatable question, should students be required to take several different items of food for lunch or breakfast, even if they don't want it? So what we did is we did a Jamboard. So the students were asked the question, what is food waste? That was our factual question. And the kids answered it on our little Jamboard. So food waste is good food that is thrown away because it wasn't wanted. So there are different ones, good and bad. So this is a different chance for the kids to express their ideas. So as you see, different students had different things to say. The next question is, why is food waste harmful for the earth? Some of the students mentioned about the pollution, about the greenhouse gases and things like that. So this way, after we did a little bit of reading about it, we were able to express why food waste was harmful for the earth. And our last debatable question, should students be required to take several different items of food for lunch or breakfast, even if they don't want it? Some said yes, some said no. As long as you're able to support your answer with your reasoning, that's a debatable question. And part of our Common Core state standards was being able to discuss and elaborate on different topics. So this is one of the things that we did. This started us a nice little discussion where the kids can express their ideas and opinions about different things. And we do this each time we start a new unit. We have our factual, conceptual, and debatable questions. So what I have here is some information about food waste. We use this to get started. So how much food waste does the average person produce? So food waste in America has skyrocketed in recent years. Each day in the United States, approximately 1 pound of food per person is wasted. 1 pound may not sound like a lot, but this equates to 103 million tons, or 206 billion pounds of food waste generated in America, and that was in 2017. So just imagine if each person is wasting 1 pound of food a day. Now, I do have a presentation that I will share with you, and in this presentation are different videos. So I have a couple of little videos that I would like to share with you. One of them was The Extraordinary Life of the Strawberry. This is what I use to spark our lesson about food waste. So it's a short video, but as you can see, all that goes through the food to actually make it to a grocery store and to someone's home.
Sweet baby, I'll travel the world for you.
Can we get strawberries?
No, honey.
Please.
Okay.
The kids had to discuss even about all the stuff that goes into the packaging, the gas produced for somebody to drive to the store, trucks to bring it to the store, and the farmers to produce it. How often does this really happen where we buy food and we don't use it? It gets pushed to the back of the refrigerator and it's wasted. So as you see, wasting food affects several different things. So we know that wasting food wastes fuel and everything else. Another short little video, 1 minute and 17 seconds about food waste. video is very interesting. It's something simple. And a reading class is great because I had the students actually read what's on the screen. They take turns and each person tries to read a slide, which is reading. But as you see, certain simple things like bringing a food list, a shopping list that you only buy what you need is very important to understand so that you're not just buying anything and everything. And that's what some of us do, which is creates waste. Okay. And our last little video, ooh, sorry, what happened? Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sorry, get back to you. Sorry. I was trying to close out the video. Our last video here.
Each year, we throw away 1/3 of the food we buy. That adds up to over 1 billion tons of food wasted worldwide every year. And when we throw away unwanted food, that's not all we're throwing away. Millions of hectares of forests are cut down annually to grow food. This puts a strain on our water supply and leads to the loss of animals, plants, and where they live. When the food we throw away rots, it releases harmful greenhouse gases and causes pollution. So what can we do? By simply planning our meals, buying only what we need, researching recipes to use up leftover ingredients, avoiding discounted multi-buys at the supermarket, and buying loose fruit and vegetables rather than large bags, we can make a significant contribution to protecting the planet for future generations. And save ourselves around €700 a year in the process. To learn more about reducing food waste in your home, visit stopfoodwaste.ie.
So wasting food does not just waste food, but it also wastes money. So let's remember that. Anything that we can do to save money is very helpful. Getting back to our presentation here. So after we watched the little videos and we talked about food waste, the next thing the students were to do was to take a refrigerator audit. This is where you look at the food that is in your refrigerator. And it says here 39% of the food that is wasted are fruits and vegetables, and we have dairy, and then we have meat. So this is a simple refrigerator audit, which I have a copy of this in a little presentation that I'm going to share. So each student had to go and just look in your refrigerator. And you're looking at what food is in your refrigerator, about how much of it, either in ounces, pounds, or packages, and why it is or was wasted. Okay. And here's an example of one of the students. So different things they put in the house, in the refrigerator that was in their house. So one person had put down yogurt and it was 6 ounces, and that's only because their mother likes it. So understand sometimes if only one person eats it, just think about that before we start buying too many of certain things. But this is a simple activity they can do. And then what we did with this activity is we turned this into a paragraph. So the kids wrote down and just jotted some things down and turned it into a paragraph, which is a writing assignment. Here's another kid's example of what he did when he did his refrigerator audit. This is where you just look and see what you can have left in your refrigerator and whether or not it's going to be wasted. Some things sit there too long, but just think about that. It's something not just you have your students do, it's something as adults that we need to do. Okay, so writing is a great way to get students engaged in food waste prevention and express their creativity. The kids can write poetry, writing paragraphs, songs, raps, posters, and campaign slogans. That's besides reading the nonfiction test on food waste. And we do that first so that we have an idea of what to write about. So you can read nonfiction text, which is cause and effect, main idea with supporting details, and summarizing. So readworks.org is a free site for teachers. I'm not plugging any site. I'm not getting any kickbacks from them. But what I like about them is the free site for teachers, and you can look up what you want. So I looked up food waste, and we did different articles about reducing waste and helping the environment and staying healthy. So this is different things that even have ebooks on here. Another thing about ReadWorks is they have different type of questions. You have your full set of questions and your express questions, open-ended questions. And express questions are usually 5 questions that are multiple choice. Your full set of questions gives you that 5 questions that are multiple choice. And then they give you those extended response questions where you have to quote from the text to answer questions and a couple of fill in the blank. Another thing about them is it goes from K to 12th grade. So as you see, there's a kindergarten lesson on here about wasting water, all the way up to 11th and 12th grade lesson about talking about trash and the price of recycling and things like that. So no matter what grade level you teach, there's something that you can do. with your students. Another thing I like about ReadWorks is you can assign it through Google Classroom. So if your school uses Google Classroom, you create your class, you drop it in there. You can even assign audio if you have those challenged students. Okay. So examples of some of the activities that we have been doing in my classroom over the last couple of years that deal with food waste. So we started with poetry, and poetry is a great way to express creativity about food waste. Pretending to be a wasted food and express your pain about being wasted is another way to show creativity. The students had to write in first person. So of course we did a lesson on what it means to write in first person. So they had to actually pretend like they were the actual food that was being wasted. Songs are another way. Songs are words put to music, and that's another way the kids can show their creativity. So they can write a song, do a rap, something to convince others not to waste food. So this year we're doing our rap, our song, and we're also doing, since it's an election year, we're doing our campaign. So like it says here, politicians are always trying to get your vote. So what the students have to do is they have to make a sign, banner, and poster to get others to vote for food waste prevention activity at your school. The students will have to come up with 3 good reasons, their platform. And the students will also need to have an activity that can actually be done at their school within a reasonable budget. So thinking about that, something as simple as what we do in the morning about saving the leftover breakfast and things like that. They won't allow us to do that in the lunchroom because there's too many kids in the lunchroom, but we do something like that in the classroom. So something that simple, we can start with that. So anything that can be done, and the kids have to write why this should be done. The last thing, and I'm not plugging anybody else again, but Flipgrid, which we call the educational TikTok, where the students can actually make a short video of their poem, their rap, or their paragraph. The students can even record their campaign speech and slogan. So it's a little education site, and you can assign that also through Google Classroom. So one of the writing assignments that the students had to do for our theme from 2022 was save food, save money, and ways to prevent food waste. So I dropped this assignment in their Google Classroom on a Google Doc, and I always put, when it's a writing assignment, little things for the kids to try to remember, you know, to indent your paragraphs, use a capital I, and the different things about checking your spelling and things like that, since this is a writing assignment. And we have the little thing I have to put on everything about plagiarism and academic honesty to make sure the kids are actually doing it their own thing and not just copying something off the text, off the internet. That's also why I get formats for each paragraph. So it says the first paragraph should explain why it is important to save food. And it deals with your money, greenhouse gases, etc. And the second paragraph should inspire people to save food and give ideas or options to help people not waste food. It has to follow a certain format. So I know they just did not just copy and paste off the internet. And here's a couple of examples. I'm going to just read some of it. It is very important to save food, and I'm about to tell you why. First, when you waste, it releases greenhouse gases and causes pollution in the atmosphere. So they did learn something, and they had to put it into a sentence in a complete paragraph. So that way it shows that they've actually learned something, and this is a writing grade. So I'm not going to read all of this, but just so you can see the students are turning this activity into a writing assignment. Here's another student. Here's some important reasons to save food. Saving food can help you save money and time for cooking. So this is something this simple that the kids can come up with, how they can, what they've learned about saving food and saving money. Another student, food, something we need to live, something that is not always obtainable, but easily disposable, which I thought was quite interesting the way he put it. Yeah, everybody does not have the access to it. And unfortunately, those who do sometimes waste it. Okay. Another activity we had to do was for the same theme, we came up with poems. I know this year they were talking about poetry again. So they had to create 2 different poems. One is Save Food, Save Money, and one is Earth Day Every Day. And again, I have my little things to remind the kids about when you're writing, and when we're doing poems, when we're doing it in poem stance, things like that, and using contractions correctly. And of course, our plagiarism and academic honesty to make sure they actually do the work on their own. A couple of samples of the poetry that the kids wrote. So I'm not going to read all of it. Don't you like seeing the flowers or the sunshine? Well, try not to leave any food behind. So I thought that was cute. So we got a little rhyme, we got a little things like that. And we also talked about the earth. So we had to do 2 different poems, one about food waste and then also one about Earth Day every day. So once the kids learned, we read a bunch of different poems about different things. They had to try to come up with a poem about food waste. I'm giving you samples of some of the good and some of the bad. So people are wasting their time. Throwing away food should be a crime. You could have given it to a homeless guy on the street, but you chose to throw it away like it wasn't a nice treat. So we got our little rhymes. We did learn about rhyme. So things like that. So we learned about rhyme scheme also, which is also a grade and an activity to do in the writing class. So more things about save food, save money. So I'm not going to constantly read all of them. You will have a chance to just look at these if you would like to. So just more poems, so examples of poems. So yeah, poetry is something that they can actually do. So since they have to write poems, and April is also poetry month. So it'll be a great time to learn about food waste and write a poem. So just so you know, April is poetry month. You can tie it into food waste prevention. The next activity was to pick a food that is wasted a lot. And then what the kids had to do is had to write 3 paragraphs. And as always, the paragraphs had to follow a certain format. So the first paragraph should tell what the food is. Describe yourself as the food. So again, we're working in first person. The next paragraph should tell how you feel as the food being wasted. Describe your feelings, your pain, and your sadness about being wasted. In the last paragraph, try to make people want you and not waste you. Give people ideas, recipes, and suggestions to keep you from being wasted. And I do have a couple of samples of the students' work. The red marks are the spelling and other things I had to correct with their grammar. But as you see, they start off, hi, I am a banana, ready to achieve my true purpose. And the kids are writing in first person. So that means they're pretending like they are also, that they are the actual fruit, so, or vegetable. So this is there is a lot of good fruits and vegetables out there, but I am the most tasty one of them all. I am very nutritious and I have very strong, healthy fiber inside of me. I'm not going to read all of it, but then it goes on to the next paragraph. Wait, no, don't throw me away, please. I'm absolutely begging you. So as you see, the child is writing in that first person, which was very creative. I had some who did a really great job. The creativity was really good. We have to work on some of the spelling and the grammar and punctuation, things like that, but the creativity is there. And here's another one where they start talking about over 40% of the food in America is wasted. I just so happen to be one of them, milk. And then she continues to talk about how as milk, she is wasted. Okay. So, and then we have the tomato. So, like I said, they had to give some information about the fruit in the first, or the fruit and vegetable, or the food in the first paragraph. Second paragraph is how they felt about being wasted. When people waste me, I feel sad. I feel the dark and depressing days go by as I rot away. I thought that was very interesting. So they're showing their creativity and they're showing how they feel. Oh, I'm sorry. And that last paragraph, as a tomato, she lets you know that you can do numerous things with me. You can make ketchup, and everybody uses ketchup, which is true. And you can cut it up and put on a salad. But besides that, telling me what the food is and how it feels to be wasted, then you're supposed to give people ideas of what you can do to keep from wasting the food. Okay, here's another one. What I also want to do is show you what Flipgrid is. So with Flipgrid, what we did is, this is my example of Flipgrid. So you see all these little images here are the students who actually did a Flipgrid. So what they did is after they wrote their paragraphs, they actually had to record it. So I'm going to show you my Flipgrid of my video. So this is me. So anytime I do something, I wrote my own paragraphs, I wrote my own poems. I always sample and model for the students. So this is my Flipgrid.
Hi everybody, my name is Brussels sprouts and I am a very nutritious vegetable. Some people call me baby cabbage because I look like a very small cabbage. Did you know I grow on a stalk like a little tree? As most green vegetables, I am high in fiber, which means I am good for your digestive system, which means I'm good for your tummy. Having me as part of your diet can help reduce your risk of cancer. I am also rich in vitamin K and antioxidants, which means I'm good for your blood and your heart. I can help you stay healthy. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you throwing me in the trash? You didn't even try me. Please, don't just throw me out. Could you at least try me? I didn't spend all that time in the hot sun soaking up the sun's nutrients for you to bring me home just to toss me in the trash. So in the first place, if you weren't going to even try me, I feel like you didn't even take the time to get to know me. I feel like my life is wasted. Why? Please don't throw me out. It looks so dark and smelly in that garbage can. Please don't throw me in there. I'm afraid of the dark. I feel like I spent my entire life growing and maturing just to be thrown in the trash. I feel like my life was just wasted. Is my living in vain? No, of course not. Please, don't throw me in the trash. I'll just end up as wasted food, causing more greenhouse gases and global warming. Hey, before you put me in the trash, please give me a chance. Have you ever tried cooking me a lemon juice with dried cranberries? It truly brings out my flavor. I add flavor and crunch to a salad or a stir fry. I taste really good if you marinate me in Italian dressing with just a touch of salt and pepper. You can try this little recipe: honey, fresh ginger root, and lemon juice. Cook me for at least 20 minutes on the stovetop. Then after the stovetop, put me in the air fryer, which helps enhance my crunchiness. Trust me, if you try me, you will like me. Please give me a chance. We could be the best of friends. Remember, friends help friends stay healthy. Is my living in vain? Is my giving in vain?
Okay, so that's my video. This is when I showed the kids. They laughed. They thought it was the funniest thing. But after that, my students really took this and ran with it. The kids did a much better job than I did. I couldn't believe some of the things that the kids could turn in. They didn't have to put their face on there like some of the kids didn't want to.
Hi, I'm Strawberry. I'm fully grown and ready to go off to the.
This is just some examples of what the kids did. So the kids really like Flipgrid. It's your chance to record, and they know that you can make mistakes and you can record over and record over. You get 2 to 3 minutes to actually do these little activities. So they did a really, really nice job. And some of the kids had graphics that I could not believe. So if you give your children a chance to try something, they can run with it and they will become better at it than I could even imagine. So I had some, I didn't even know you can do this, where your things can
I am
move.
a green apple. My name is.
But that's just an idea of what you can do with Flipgrid. So we're doing our campaign slogans with it, and we're also doing our, well, we did our Flipgrid before with our little food waste and things like that. So here's another example of it. It's just something that you can do. And like I said, I always model first what I want my students to do so they get an idea of what I expect from them. Okay, and so this year we're writing a song. So I wrote my own song. So I can't sing, but I will try. So if you're familiar with Willie Walker's Oompa Loompa song, so everybody has to write their own song about food waste, and the kids also have to do their own campaign slogan. So here, so bear with me because I can't sing. So food waste, that is so wrong. In the garbage, our food does not belong. Food waste, that is so wrong. In the garbage, our food does not belong. Food is designed for you to eat, whether it's fruit, vegetables, or meat. Back in the day, kids did not waste food because they knew it did the body good. Then we go back to our food waste. So that's just some of the things that we have. And the next thing that we're going to do is create our own campaign slogan. So for our food waste prevention program at the school. So they have to give statistics and information and things like that. And remember, it has to be a program that they can actually do on a reasonable budget. So you come up with your title, a description of the program, and your platform, which are your 3 reasons. And then of course, your little closing argument. So you basically restating your reasons and your platform. And then we're going to create a Flipgrid after that. So that is the presentation. So if we had questions or anything like that, if I'm going to drop this when you watch the webinar, you'll have a chance to have access to some of these slides and some of the activities, so that way you can actually use it in your classroom also.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was really incredible. And I love the Brussels sprouts video on Flipchart that you created. There's a lot of really great ideas. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with educators, and even students that are really interested in bringing the topic of food waste into the English language arts classroom. So thank you so much for doing all of this work and spearheading this conversation. I'm going to stop the recording so we can dive into some more questions. But yes, thank you again.
You are